Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. So a replay was sent in by MinimumGorky, I love the name by the way, and he is driving for our pleasure today the American T29, and this gives me the perfect opportunity to take you a little bit on a time travel from the point of this tank's introduction with its controversy to the current state of War Thunder and how this tank fares in it. We also see some examples along the way, and I also like that MinimumGorky is taking this heavy tank to the front line, playing the objective and going into the cap together with a British ally that has a fully stabilized 20-pounder that shoots APDS, whereas the T29 is a bit of a more conventional tank with its 105mm gun. So the first customer of the day, showing a little bit of the outstanding feature, quite literally, the top mounted 50 cal, and the Fiat 6614 actually gets shredded. I love how MinimumGorky switched to the top mounted 50 cal and therefore had the point of line of sight and was in no danger of receiving any sort of significant damage from the Fiat 6614 that has a 106mm caliber recoilless rifle. Actually it's 105mm, but for the sake of distinguishing the different kind of weapons, it was designated as a 106mm, and that has a anti-tank grenade with 433mm. This thing didn't exist when this tank was introduced. Back in the days, the T29 also was at battle rating 6.7 and just was a fierce competitor to face because its armor was highly effective. And yeah, he bounced just a shell from the Type 62, the Chinese light tank, where we have the same tank as a reward in the Soviet tech tree for quite a while. My talking gets here quickly rudely interrupted by the IS-3 that dares to bounce shell on the glorious T29, which in the case of MinimumGorky returns the favor of bouncing shell on the IS-3. The IS-3 also had for a very long time a battle rating of 7.7, and the T29, as I just said, also a battle rating of 6.7. Now they came close together, IS-3 to 7.3, T29, which just shredded in a glorious fashion with 350 cals, the poor R3 T20, no tears shed ever, got from 6.7 to 7.0, and I still think that the T29 is the better tank, better mobility, also bouncy armor, and arguably a better gun that has a shorter reload with more diversity. You have APCR, which nobody uses, you have a salad shot that also barely any uses, and then you have the T13 APCVC round that, as you can see, does a lot of damage because of its 177.38 grams of TNT equivalent bursting mass and 253mm of penetration. That is just a hair more than the German Tiger 2105, although you have a lower muzzle velocity but for a heavier shell with 899 meters per second muzzle velocity and 18.6 kilogram heavy projectile mass. So he is now in a good position after 4 kills already, half of which were with the 50 cals, that he is here securing a flank and having access to influence the fight on 2 of the 3 objectives. Now, the Normandy map is not one of my favorites, although there are a lot of good spots where you can work around. I do not really like the city fight aspect of this map. And yeah, he just rams in one of the tank wrecks, and then he does one of the few things that I didn't really like. He reverses broadside on out of cover with not the gun perfectly trained on the enemy's position. And there is an Ostwind 2, which has at first glance a fairly similar turret layout than the Wirbelwind. But it's not quite the same, as you will see later on, which makes a little bit of a difference. And now he decides to go hull down, which is just where you think this tank would deserve it. He receives a shell from the Type 75 SPH, and that tracks him and knocks out his gun barrel. Also his 50 cal got damaged, and so he has to repair both. But don't worry, he has 2 50 cals remaining in the turret, and so he can threaten the Type 74. He, you know, robs vision of the M41, the German version, and keeps the Ostwind too busy. Also, the Object 120 is not happy about the incoming stream of bullets, which we'll see later on. There is also an IS-2, and then he takes out the commander of the Type 75 SPH and keeps them at range. He misses the shot, is still tracked, but his gun, as we just saw, is back in action. And so he demands again respect from the Type 75 SPH as he knocks out the gunner, reloads in time to nuke the Object 120. Oh, the irony. A tank destroyer, also a bit controversial, also a premium, who would have guessed, at 7.7. That saw a battle rating reduction to 7.3 for whatever reason, because people, you know, love to be broadsiding enemy tanks in that battlefield ship. I don't know. And how he panned that shot on the IS-2 turret, I don't know. But he did, and now he's at 6 kills already. And now he waits. So, as we can see on the minimap, there is an SPA right behind him, but he didn't know. But it doesn't really matter, because that Super Soldier 86 in the BTR 152 never could really threaten him anyway. As good as those Soviet 14.5s are, they're just not really capable of dealing with this tank's armor unless you are at the point blank range shooting the engine part of the side armor from, well, the side. He tracks the M41 Walker Bulldog and then reloads and charges forward again. Now this is one of those cases, if you look at the minimap, his team has all the objectives, they have basically overrun the enemy, and now they are pushing the spawn. For a brief moment on the beach side of the map we saw an Object 120, and he is busy looking for this M41, which he just shot on the move and killed for kill number 7. He reverses because he has quite a long reload for a tank at this battle rating, and then spots the Object 120 and again uses the 50 cal and finds the left foot of the gunner of the Object 120, which already had lost 2 of the crew members, for kill number 8. So out of his 8 kills, 3 were with the machine gun. If you think about all other nations' heavy tanks, you know, heavy machine guns on top of them are rather rare. I think about the IS-2 Mod 1944, the tech tree variant in the Soviet tech tree has it. The premium, the Revenge for the Hero Brother, for instance, doesn't have it. One of the rare cases when a premium heavy tank was objectively worse than its, you know, tech tree counterpart. Yeah, those were the days when Gaijin didn't sell out. Anyway, MinimumGorky now lets an Tortoise go forward and take the brunt of the enemies, which just aren't there. As you can see here with the markers, this is realistic battles, by the way, but because this is a replay, we see the markers, which he couldn't do. Gaijin, for all the years, still couldn't implement a feature where you could see the same point of view with the same, you know, overlay and HUD, I think, as you could see in a normal play. So either it's all the markers or no markers, where even his allies couldn't see the markers. Anyway, let's focus about the battle. And MinimumGorky is again closing the gap to the Tortoise, and he is really busy shooting again at some enemies. We have reached the spawn area. There is a ZSU 37. Now it isn't anymore, for kill number 9. We see an Ostwind, but, well, MinimumGorky doesn't. And now I see something that is very interesting, because his top mounted 50 cal isn't shooting anymore. I mean, yeah, he has 3, so you might not really notice it, and especially it made no difference for this M42, which is kill number 4 with the 50 cals and the double A's. Now, because you must then reset the weapon selection and not just go back to primary weapon. That's a little bit of a whoopsie daisy on the settings. So you might just have a look at it again. Because if you go to secondary weapon and then go back to primary weapon, you can't fire both, because the top mounted 50 cal has a different designation than the coaxial heavy machine guns. Just so that you know. Anyway, somebody smoked up. I think it was the tortoise because he's damaged. And MinimumGorky uses this opportunity to then flank around this building. And this daring move gets rewarded shortly after with the Type 61 not being aware of him. And yeah, he takes him out with a beautiful shot for kill number 11. And believe it or not, that's it all for the action of this gameplay. Let's have a quick look at the post-battle results screenshot. So with a premium account with all the awards, amongst them Survivor and Heavy Metal Hero, he had earned himself 153,000 Silver Lions and 17,400 research points. That is absolutely awesome. Also, he got a new skin, so it's not the first time that he plays this tank. Also, how he used this, that kind of gave it away. Anyway, it was a pleasure watching this replay, and I loved the way that MinimumGorky played here. He was not somewhere in the backline sniping, he was bringing his armor to bear, but he also used it smart in a way that he didn't take unnecessary risks, although the one exception being the little trip into this one road where he then reversed outside. But that was just one of the things, or one of the few things that I had to criticize. It was a very well solid gameplay that I enjoyed watching. It was a good demonstration of why the T29 still got it. The meta has changed from when this tank was introduced. Not that many light tanks were in the game at around this battle rating that had this ridiculous pen. And yeah, the only thing that you could fear in the T29 was the RE251, but that was, you guessed it, another premium tank. So finally, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Why not give it a like, give it a subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.